Hello everyone, this is SimTitan1, and today we're going to be talking about an IBM Thinkpad T60 laptop that I got from an antique center near me for just $10. Now, I actually got two of these machines for the same price, but one of them's not currently working. I'll be making a video of that one soon. But anyways, let's go over the laptop itself. Right, so, it's not in the best condition. It has quite a few scratches and scuffs, but there's really no real physical damage on the outside, except for on the wrist pad. There's a few cracks in the plastic, unfortunately. I've tried gluing that back together, but it's not working very well. Alright, on the front, I'm not really sure if you can see this very well, but there's a switch for the wireless, and then there's the latch to open the screen. On the right, there's a DVD-ROM and CD rewritable drive, along with two USB ports and a Kensington lock port. On the back we have the power in and the vents. And finally, on the left side we have a VGA out, the modem, the Ethernet, the line in headphone jack, the wireless receiver I use for this mouse, and two PC card ports. Okay, so on the inside we have the trackpad, which is pretty worn out, but it still works fine. I actually had to replace the trackpad buttons because the left click wasn't working. I replaced it with the wrist pad from the broken laptop. And then we have the track point, which I actually prefer using. It's a lot more comfortable than the trackpad in my opinion. The keyboard's not that worn out, but you can still see a little bit of shiny spots on it. It still works. Okay, so for the indicator lights, we have the wireless light, which is currently flashing, the caps lock and scroll locks, the hard drive indicator, the power on battery, and then there's the indicator for when it's plugged in and when it's in standby. Okay, sorry about that. I just had to close the curtain so you could see the display a little bit better. Right now this laptop is currently running Ubuntu Linux, which I actually tried a few other distributions, and this one seems to work the best. Ubuntu's really slow and it kept crashing. Lubuntu, I'm not a big fan of it because the interface is pretty basic. I tried Fedora, and it's just, GNOME is too resource heavy for this system. Ubuntu seems to be a great compromise between stability, usability, and user-friendliness. I did try running Windows 7 on this, but for some reason it was really unstable. It wouldn't come out of sleep mode half the time, and it kept throwing up random errors that couldn't be explained. I brought it to my school's IT technician and they couldn't figure out how to. So I just went back to Ubuntu. So anyways, let me log in. Okay, so I'm now at the desktop. I have Docky installed just to make launching applications a little bit easier and to make it look a little more user-friendly. I currently have NetBeans installed, which I've been using for my senior project at school. It's a Java IDE. I have the video editor, Chromium, Pythos, which is a Pandora client, Audacity, Banshee, VLC player, the GIMP, and then the various LibreOffice programs. Sorry about the shakiness. I don't currently have a tripod. I'll try to get one in the future. When I first got this laptop, it had Windows XP on it, but it was password protected and it appeared to be heavily virus infected. I was able to get into it in the safe mode, and there was still quite a few viruses. So I just formatted the hard drive. Anyways, I figured it would be a good idea to get rid of the previous owner's personal files. Okay, so I have System Info open, and this thing has a Intel Core Duo processor clocked at 1.83 gigahertz. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but it's still plenty usable for what I plan on using this thing for, which is just basic web browsing, typing, and things like that. And this thing also has 3 gigabytes of RAM, which I upgraded from the stock 2 gigabytes. So, for my overall impression of the machine, well, considering it's 10 years old, it's still plenty usable in this day and age, as long as you set your expectations low enough. I mean, it's not a monster of a machine by any means, but for basic web browsing, email, document writing, and even a few more advanced things like photo editing. I
It's
find the
fine.
trackpoint to be more usable than the trackpad. I've always preferred that. I feel like I have more control over the pointer. I seem to have mixed results with touchpads. Some of them work, some of them don't. I have an old Asus K5 3E whose trackpad barely works at all. You can't tap to click. If you try to drag a folder across the desktop, it just releases randomly. And recently the left mouse button itself stopped working, so I've been having to use an external mouse. But these ThinkPads are built like tanks. Considering I got this at a thrift store for $10, and they sold it as not working, I just had to get the power supply. It's a little bit beaten up, but it still works fine considering all the abuse it must have been through. Because these were business machines, so they've been thrown around in bags, used heavily for typing. But still, it refuses to die. And considering that most modern laptops, you can barely get a few years out of them before they die, that's really impressive. I think that's enough about this laptop for today. You can expect a future video about the ThinkPad that's not currently working properly. So, please feel free to thumbs up this video, and don't forget to subscribe. Have a nice day, everyone.